Welcome to the Daily Vibecasting. We're absolutely buzzing today, ready to hit you with the top posts making waves on X. Think of this as your essential, fast daily roundup. We cut straight through the noise, giving you the real story. Our goal, to get you sharp, quick, and super well informed. Let's go.
Absolutely. And today's deep dive, it's packed. We've got a carefully curated selection covering everything from AI leaps to global shifts, even some really interesting local market stuff. We're here to pull out those valuable insights, connect some dots, and keep the conversation balanced and, insightful. So let's jump right into the feed.
All right, let's kick off. First post really stirred things up right here in the U.S. This one's from @WallStreetApes. Makes a bold claim right away. Quote, "This is textbook corruption in America. A group of multimillionaires from New York moved and bought beachfront property in a small town called Boca Grande, Florida. The beach is public, and the only way to access it for the local residents is to go to the island, park, and enjoy." Wow. Okay, textbook corruption. That's strong language.
It absolutely is. And what this post really gets at is that friction, between public access and, well, private influence. So in Lee County, Florida, you've got this scenario. Wealthy folks, maybe from New York, other high-tax places, buy up prime beachfront land, Boca Grande. Then the claim is they lean on the local county commissioners, and the outcome here, a new parking ordinance, which effectively makes it really hard for the general public to get to what is legally a public beach in Florida.
So it's not just parking signs. It's about actually blocking access for ordinary people.
No, pretty much. It becomes a tool to limit access, and it's not just an isolated thing in Boca Grande. This reflects bigger issues, right? Gentrification, this huge migration of wealth we're seeing, millionaires moving, especially from places like New York to Florida. South Florida has seen a massive jump. West Palm Beach, Miami, millionaire populations way up in the last decade. New York, not nearly as much growth. So you get these tensions boiling over. Public rights versus, powerful private interests wanting exclusivity. We've seen similar disputes pop up in other Florida counties too, like Indian River, Sarasota.
Okay, fascinating dynamic there. Let's switch gears now. Completely different world. Artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
Change there is just constant.
Yeah.
Next post is from @Elon Musk. Short, sweet, more Grok Imagine upgrades. Okay, for those of us not deep in the AI labs, what should we be imagining here? What do these upgrades actually do?
Right. This is pretty significant. Musk's post is about the latest improvements to Grok Imagine. That's xAI's tool. It generates images, even videos, just from text you type in. But the big leap here, the really groundbreaking part, is its enhanced ability to create dynamic visuals, moving pictures that also have integrated sound.
Whoa, okay, so you type a description, it makes a little movie clip with sound. Not just a picture.
Exactly. You type it, it creates it. Moving, sounding content. It's not just a small step. It's part of this bigger global trend where AI tools are really blurring that line between, well, imagination and what you can actually see and hear. Sparks huge interest, obviously. Also, a fair bit of skepticism around the world. Raises big questions about creativity, art, even what's real.
Yeah, I can see that.
And it fits with xAI's mission, they say, to advance scientific discovery. Plus, remember when Grok Imagine first launched back in July 25? It had that controversial spicy mode, fewer restrictions on content. So this upgrade builds on that, continuing that debate about AI freedom versus the need for guardrails. Makes you wonder what's next, right?
Definitely. Okay, speaking of different worlds colliding, our next post draws a really stark contrast. Two big political names. This is from @Robert Musterling. Gavin Newsom's dad was the personal attorney for the billionaire Getty family. They gave young Gavin money to start a winery in Napa. J.D. Vance grew up in a broken, drug-addicted home in the Rust Belt. He joined the Marines to pay for college. These guys are not comparable. I mean, that's about as direct as it gets. What's the underlying point being made here about their paths?
Well, it's throwing this socioeconomic contrast into sharp relief, isn't it? You've got Gavin Newsom on one side, privileged background, yeah, father's role, the Getty family, that connection. And his first big business venture, that winery, famously got a boost from a, $70,000 loan from Gordon Getty way back. Then you flip it.
Yeah.
J.D. Vance, very different story. Challenging childhood, Ohio's Rust Belt, issues with addiction in the family home, his route to education, totally different. Join the Marines, specifically using that service to pay for college.
So the post is basically saying, look at these starting points, miles apart. Does Vance's path, using the military, reflect a typical way up for people from tougher backgrounds.
Well, it's a known path, but maybe not typical in terms of reaching the absolute top tiers. Studies have shown, yeah, military service can be a really important ladder for upward mobility, especially for young people from lower income families. You see that in economics journals. But stepping back and looking at overall class mobility in the U.S., the stats are pretty sobering. Data from the Equality of Opportunity Project shows only a small fraction, something like 8.4% of kids born in the bottom fifth economically ever make it to the top fifth. So Vance's story, while it's highlighted here to challenge maybe how we think about political success stories, it really is statistically an outlier, which makes his rise even more notable, you know?
Right. Definitely puts things in perspective. Okay, shifting now to the global stage. Big economic news potential here. This post comes from at Unusual Wales. U.S. has canceled India trade talks scheduled for August, per Reuters. Okay, canceling trade talks between the U.S. and India. That sounds like a pretty significant bump in the road. What's going on?
It's definitely a big development. Reuters reported on this cancellation, and it seems to stem from, well, growing tensions, a major factor. A new hefty 50% U.S. tariff on Indian goods that's set to kick in really soon, August 27th, 2025. And then there's another layer. India's been importing a lot more Russian oil. It's jumped massively from maybe 3% back in 2021 to like 35–40% now in 2024. That's causing friction, given the whole geopolitical situation.
Okay, so U.S. tariffs hitting India and India buying Russian oil. That's a clash. Were these talks important? What was the goal?
These talks were part of a long-running effort, really, trying to hammer out a bilateral trade agreement, a foundational deal, you know? The ambition was huge. Double trade between the U.S. and India to $500 billion by 2030. But they've been stalled for a while. India's been hesitant to open up certain markets, like agriculture and dairy. The U.S., meanwhile, wants to shrink its trade deficit with India, which is around $45 billion. And it's worth noting, this is all happening alongside proposed changes to the H-1B visa program from the Trump administration.
The H-1B visas.
Right.
Those affect a lot of tech workers, especially from India.
Exactly. Indian workers dominate that program, hundreds of thousands of visas in recent years. So potential visa reforms add another really complicated layer to this whole economic and political standoff. It's tangled.
Definitely sounds complex. Okay, let's bring the focus back home to New York City. Always some political buzz there. Here's a bold prediction about the upcoming mayoral race from @Bill Ackman. The NYC mayoral election is a slow-moving, soon-to-be accelerating train wreck, with @Andrew Cuomo and @Eric Adams-Fornike both still in the race and apparently planning to stay in the race until the end. @Zohran Mamdani is a near certain winner. Mayor Adams or Cuomo can win the post cutoff here. Wow. Near certain winner for Mamdani. That feels unexpected to some, maybe. What's the thinking behind that prediction?
Well, what's really interesting in Ackman's take is the reasoning. He suggests it's the city's established voting patterns that could actually propel Zohran Mamdani forward. Mamdani's platform is clearly socialist, right? And he's got endorsements from big progressive names like Bernie Sanders. Now, if you look back, say, at the 2020 NYC election data, the voter turnout, something like 68%, actually swung towards progressive policies.
So Ackman sees a split between Adams and Cuomo, maybe opening a path for a progressive candidate who consolidates that base. It's not a train wreck system, just the math.
Pretty much. It suggests maybe it's not a system failure, but a reflection of a strong data-supported progressive base in the city. Research backs this up, too. You know, political science studies show diverse. Urban areas like New York often lean progressive, largely because of concerns about economic inequality. So in that context, someone like Mamdani isn't necessarily a long shot, but maybe a logical contender if you understand those underlying dynamics. It pushes back on the idea that voters are somehow backward. It's reflecting real demographic and ideological currents.
Got it. Okay, now for something genuinely breaking, international stage, lots of heavy hitters involved. We've got two related posts here, hitting back to back. First, from @Eric Eldo. Breaking. Zelensky is being joined at his White House meeting with President Trump tomorrow by Italian PM Giorgia Meloni, French President Emmanuel Macron, NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, Germany Chancellor Friedrich Merz, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen. And then boom, right after, @Nick Sorter adds this. Breaking. VP J.D. Vance will be in attendance at President Trump's meeting with Zelensky tomorrow. Are we about to see another Oval Office showdown? Okay, whoa, that's a packed room. And then Vance being there raises that very specific question. Feels potentially Tense?
Oh, absolutely. This is a major moment, no doubt. That meeting, scheduled for August 18th, 2025, having Zelensky and Trump, plus all those key European leaders, Meloni, Macron, von der Leyen, the NATO chief, it signals a really critical NATO-Ukraine strategy session. This isn't just optics. But yeah, the breaking news that throws a curveball and fuels that showdown speculation is VP J.D. Vance being confirmed to attend.
Right. And Vance's presence isn't just symbolic, is it? There's history there from a previous meeting. What happened then, and why does his attendance now matter so much?
His attendance is significant because it immediately brings to mind that rather tumultuous Oval Office meeting back on February 28th, 2025. In that meeting, both Trump and Vance were reported to have been quite critical of Zelensky directly. Vance especially took a very assertive stance, really challenging Ukrainian policy and aid requests. So him being in this room could definitely shift the dynamic. Could we see another public confrontation? Given his previous role and critical views, it's certainly possible. And that hide share comment in the second post is kind of a snarky way of pointing to Vance's newer but very forceful role in foreign policy and maybe these broader shifts towards, very personal, sometimes confrontational diplomacy under Trump. Definitely one to watch.
Wow. Okay. And finally, let's wrap things up with something, well, completely different. Pop culture meets serious politics. This one's from @ColinRugg. New W. Former FBI director and Swiftie James Comey releases a 5-minute video talking about how Taylor Swift inspires him and how she helps him deal with Trump. At my second Taylor Swift concert in Hartford, CT, 14 years ago, she sang a song about this topic, asking, why post cutoff here? Okay, I have to say, reading former FBI Director James Comey and Swiftie together is not something I expected today. What's this about?
It is pretty unexpected, isn't it? James Comey, the former FBI director, very serious guy, putting out a video talking about Taylor Swift. And he's saying her music, her whole public persona, genuinely inspires him. Specifically, he mentions it helps him cope with or process former President Trump's behavior. It's kind of fascinating. It shows this very personal side, right? Finding inspiration in how Swift handles criticism stays positive. He even references her song Mean from 2010.
So it's not really about politics per se, more like finding a personal way to deal with things, drawing parallels from pop culture.
Exactly. It seems less like a political statement and more about finding resilience, maybe. And if you put this in context, Trump's second term started in 2025. Lots of controversial stuff happening, like those tariffs we talked about. And here's Comey, this figure from the heart of national security and politics, finding this personal anchor in pop music. It's just a really unique, kind of surprising juxtaposition. Shows you people find strength and perspective in all sorts of places, I guess.
Incredible range today. And just like that, another daily vibe casting is done. We went from Florida beaches and local power plays to AI creating sound and video, stark contrasts in political backgrounds, global trade tensions heating up, and even, a former FBI director finding inspiration in Taylor Swift. Yeah. It's your shortcut to knowing what's buzzing without drowning in the noise.
Absolutely. And if you connect it all, today really showed the sheer speed and breadth of information hitting us, and how these diverse sources, a tweet about tariffs, a comment on class, even a pop culture confession, they all offer these unexpected windows into what's shaping our world right now.
So as we wrap up today's deep dive, here's something to chew on. How do all these seemingly separate things, beach access fights, AI tools, White House meetings, even celebrity fandom, how do they actually connect? They all weave together into this complex fabric of our daily lives. What other surprising links are out there waiting to be seen? We'll be back tomorrow to uncover more. See you for the next deep dive.